Let's talk to the National Commission for Civic Education. Lawyer Josephine Nkrumah is the director. She's joining us via Skype or Zoom. Good morning, madam. How are you doing?
Good morning. I'm very well, thank you. And good morning to your viewers and listeners.
Amazing. We read an article in the Daily Graphic yesterday, a news item, I must say, that said that the NCCE is educating the public on social media and in the communities for COVID-19. How are you doing that?
Well, I think first and foremost, we need to establish that the NCCE uses a number of strategies in its engagement with the public in order to enhance civic disposition. Traditionally, we do a lot of community engagements. We do a lot of one-on-one engagement. So this, of course, entails some social gathering. But in the wake of COVID-19, we are limiting our engagement to a lot of mass communication. So we're using social media. We're using a lot of the local FM and community radio networks.
Okay.
We're also using TV slots. And of course, we are reaching the public through the use of public announcements on vans across the communities that we engage in, which is basically every community in Ghana. So that is the main strategies that we're using for engagement with the public in the wake of COVID-19.
The majority of Ghanaians who are stuck at home at this point and who will be using their phones would like to go onto your Facebook page. I see 3 pages for the NCC on Facebook. One page has 265 people latched onto it. One has 157 people, and the other has 435 people for a population of 30 million. Is that the strength of your power on social media?
Which handle are you using?
I'm looking at National Commission for Civic Education. It has the multicolored red, gold, green hands showing up. There's another one.
What we have noticed is that we have a few people who have set up social media handles using the National Commission for Civic Education.
Right.
But the Facebook handle is NCCE GH.
NCCE GH, okay.
That has about 75,000 plus followers as we speak.
Okay. So what do you tell people on the NCCE GH page? I'm curious. I'm searching it. I'm looking for it now. So it has 79,242. That's impressive.
Thank you. Thank you. So what we do is basically for social media, we're using a lot of graphics to reach out to the people. So we're engaging people on the safety protocols. What we're also doing is relying on the WHO and the Ministry of Health / the Ghana Health Service messaging as well. So we're combining in order not to replicate, some of these messaging.
Okay.
And having to use managed resources that we are constrained, we use these other other institutions' messaging, and then we use that on our social media handles.
The public says they are not seeing much of you. Do you agree with the public?
I'm compelled to agree with the public, but of course, it's not only because they just don't see us. I think if people make the time, put their ears on the ground, they will hear and they will see us. If you go to our website, you would see a lot of the activities we are undertaking. If you go on GNA website, you see a lot of reporting on the activities of NCC. And when the public say they don't see us, the reason why I say sometimes you're compelled to agree with them is that we, as I said earlier, we're using a variety of strategies. One of the strategies is the mass communication through the use of our public announcements.
Right.
And to a large extent, we have relied on the goodwill of institutions that are supporting us with vehicles so that we can mount on them our public address and reach out to the grassroots. There are those our target audience is multifaceted. There are those who would like to know what you're doing, or those you can reach on social media. But there are a lot more people in Ghana who may not have access to social media, but they are a significant component of our target audience.
How do you reach those ones? For example, when there are complaints that most of the Information Services Department units that you would have lashed on in the communities either have a faulty mixer or a faulty cone speaker or a microphone that is absent. How do you do this work in the communities?
Well, okay, so as you rightly said, we have aging tools for engagement. Nonetheless, as I said, in the wake of COVID-19, we have received quite some goodwill from the Church of Pentecost. For instance, the Church of Pentecost gave us 12 vans that have mounted on them public address systems. We had one van for each of the 10 old regions. And then for Greater Accra and Ashanti region, which were really the, if I should say, the epicenters of COVID-19 in Ghana, we had 2 extra van each. In addition to that, NCCE also has 2 vans, 2, fitted vans specifically for public announcements.
Is that all you have? You have the Church of Pentecost loaned you 12 vans.
Yes, and
you have two originally from you. Is that all you have?
Yes, that's all we have. I mean, for public announcements. But in the districts that we have vehicles, we mount on them portable public address systems. And these public address systems is what we use in the communities.
How many do you have in total, madam? How many? So let's put the vehicles in perspective. The vehicles, the vans, how many do we have? What's your capacity in that area?
For NCCE now, we have just about 70 vehicles that are okay to go on the field. But even out of the 70, it is not all the districts. So we have 260 district offices, as we're enjoined to have a district office in each community. But we also have a lot of collaboration going on with the district assemblies. So for districts that don't have vehicles, we are fortunate enough to have that relationship with district assemblies, lending their vehicles to us and allowing us, therefore, to reach out to the communities in those particular districts. So that is another complement to the resources that we have in order to undertake education in the communities across the country. One of the issues, of course, has been fuel. Going round is it comes with its own costs. For the Church of Pentecost vans, for instance, the Church of Pentecost fully has taken up the cost of running the vehicles, the cost of the driver's remuneration, and all of that. That is fully borne by the Church of Pentecost. What we have done is put on board those vehicles our staff, and then together with the Church of Pentecost, we go out in the communities to engage. We are fortunate also to have had some support from Vivo Energy, that is Shell, in the Western region. So in the Western region, for instance, from I think a couple of weeks ago, Shell is also supplying fuel to our district offices in the Western region. I think one of the challenges also that we face, that to a large extent, the workers of NCCE can also be identified as frontline workers, because they're out there every day trying to engage the people.
Do you have the PPEs?
That's exactly
How protected are your people?
We are not protected at all. What we have currently, or what we were able as a commission to give our district offices, is 100 cedis per district, in order for them to purchase some hand sanitizers, gloves, and or
How many
masks.
people work at a district office? I'm curious to learn.
In the district offices, we have between 3 and 8 people per district.
And they got
So
100 CDs per district?
yes,
That means,
yes,
is that to suggest that you have so far not gotten any money or allocation for public education or specifically for COVID from government? Is that it?
yes, that is what it is now. We haven't received any resources from the government of Ghana for COVID-19 specific education. But as a commission, we would rather focus on what it is we have, leverage on the relationships we have with other institutions, as well as the goodwill that we enjoy from some communities. And so we choose to focus on that, to leverage on that, and to carry out education as best as we can under the circumstances.
Have you applied for funds, for example, from the COVID-19 Trust Fund? Have you asked government? What have they been telling you?
We, even before we had our first confirmed cases in Ghana, as a commission, we took the steps to quickly draft our proposals, which we then delivered to the Ministry of Health, the Ghana Health Service, the Ministry of Finance, even to the Office of the Speaker of Parliament, in order for them to make provision for NCC, because we consider that education is a vital part of the fight against COVID-19.
Right.
And therefore, as the constitutionally mandated body to carry out civic education, we take our role seriously, and we took those steps to ensure that we were adequately prepared to carry out education. As is, we also understand the constraints of government in the wake of COVID-19. So whilst we do not have the funds, the government of Ghana, like I said, we continue to leverage on the relationships that we have and continue to engage Ghanaians.
You sound very confident and reassuring, but genuinely, with all the conditions that you have told me, which we have, I'm shocked. Are you genuinely shocked and frustrated as well from where you sit, given the Herculean task you have to educate the people, to reduce spread and importation of the disease, and you don't have money, you don't have the resources, you are only hoping on relationship and leveraging on your confidence and commitment? Are you genuinely frustrated?
Of course, I am frustrated. I am frustrated because I think there's a lot more NCC can do. There's a lot more our staff can offer. But the frustration I'm not going to allow the frustration to cripple what I think we can do. And so we continue, as a commission, I continue to encourage my staff to go out there. And you would find out that even in some of the districts and the regions, it's also compelling our staff to go out there and source for some funding from other institutions to support the work that they do.
Okay.
So I'm not saying this to say that because we don't have it, oh yeah, we are okay. No, we are not. By long stretch, we're not okay. Because if I have a van, and a few districts have offered vans to their district offices, and so take, for instance, the Great Ashanti region that has 40 plus districts.
Right.
It is not all the districts that have the vans, and not all the districts are being supported by the district assembly. And then you have 2 vans from Church of Pentecost. Look at the population density of the Ashanti region, for instance. How do I penetrate and reach as many people as I ought to?
Right.
Because it is these few vans that will have to go round and try and reach every community. So perhaps you may be able to touch a district once in 2-3 weeks at best.
That's not
or
good.
A community, and that is not good enough. So these vans keep going round and round. But as we understand, a lot of the education around COVID-19 hovers around our attitudes and our lifestyles.
Right.
And so attitudes and lifestyles don't change overnight.
Right.
And so it has to be repeated and repeated and repeated in order for people to understand and appreciate the dangers of COVID-19, in order to begin to change mindsets and change lifestyles and attitudes in the way we live. Our living very communal. I mean, as human beings, we use our hands every day for so many things. So beginning to let people appreciate why you say don't shake hands, or why you say try not to touch surfaces, or even as the issues emerge.
Okay.
As we know, COVID-19 itself is, the issues around it are very fluid. In the beginning, we were told, oh, you're okay without masks. All of a sudden, you're told, actually, everybody needs to put on a mask. You're told, you can walk around. Now you're compelled to wear this thing and move around. Why are we doing this? So these are the things that are constantly changing, and as a commission, it means that we're constantly changing our messaging. So, for instance, if I've been to a certain community about 6 weeks ago and I haven't been able to go there, the fluidity of the situation means that maybe they are not up to date there. They're not understanding that right now, the original understanding of using a mask was not really essential has changed. And actually now, more or less, you have a directive coming out from the president that we need to be wearing masks.
So just let me catch you at this point and ask you. Now, I know that you want to get onto the ground, but one also...
We are on the ground, not that we want to. We are on the ground.
Well, you are on the ground, but you are complaining now about the frequency and fluency of same because of the lack of resources. So we appreciate the work you're doing, even though you acknowledge that you must do more. The Minister for Information at the 5th or 4th briefing said that everything that has been said right from the get-go on COVID-19 presidential briefings and the Information Ministry's briefings will be translated into 8 different languages for the sake of our people. Are you pursuing that agenda to ensure that it will be out there on your social media page with over 79,000 people, on your TV slots that will be made available in radio slots? Are you pursuing that?
Yes, I think it's for NCCE. Before a district, an officer is appointed to any district, one of the key things or the key requirement is for them that officer to speak a minimum of 1 or 2 of the prevalent dialects or languages in that district. So we are equipped with this, with the medium of expression in the language that is prevalent in the district. So, for instance, if you are in a Hanta, we know that that person should speak at least a Hanta and Nzima. If you're in the central region, you should be speaking Akan. If you're in some parts of the northern region, you must be speaking Dagari, Jokosi, or whatever. So these are the strengths that we bring on board, that we don't then now have to, translate everything for in the language, because our district directors are equipped with the English language, and therefore it's easier for them to translate and interpret and communicate to the citizenry where they operate in.
Clearly you qualify as frontline workers, you and all the members that work under you and under your direction. And recently, some packages were announced for nurses and doctors working in the front line. You're risking your life. Number one, you don't have PPEs, but you're educating the people. Would you support any proposal to have you also get some package, at least to enliven the hopes of your people who work under you?
Certainly. Why not? I worry every single day in the wake of COVID-19 about what dangers our staff are exposed to on the ground. Because, when they go to the communities that they operate in, especially when they're in the vans and they get there, even though they try and sit in the car and carry practice social distancing, you have citizens or people who come up to the vehicle wanting to speak with them, wanting further clarification. Some of them asking for, I heard you mention the number, but I didn't get it. Can you give it to So I write it down. Some of them come up to us and ask us for sanitizers, for food, for masks. And we had a few instances where even communities have been extremely hostile because they're saying we're hungry, what we want is food, what we want is sanitizers. We're not here to listen to what you have to say and try to, literally say, get out of our space. So we are confronted with all of these things every day. Every day that our officers have to go into radio stations or community radio network setups where they don't have the luxury, if I should say, of internet and Zoom. You can imagine the number of people who go in and out of those stations in a day. And so my staff are going there almost daily as well to carry out some level of education through these radio networks and local FM stations. Then again, we are exposing our staff to the dangers of COVID-19. And so I don't take it at all lightly that my staff are out there. They don't have personal protective equipment. And of course, in that regard, as frontline workers, I think they also ought to be given something in order to encourage them, in order to make them, and more importantly, something that allows them to be properly protected so that when they are carrying out civic education, they are doing so confidently, knowing that they are well protected and don't have that.
If you sat, this is my final question to you. If you sat in front of the president this morning, what would you be telling him specifically regarding all the issues we have talked about? You gave your people 100 cedis to buy sanitizers and PPEs and all of that. You have not received your share of the COVID money and all the issues. Your staff don't feel protected. If you sat in front of the president this morning, what would you say to him in 30 seconds?
Well, firstly, I'd thank the president for the constant briefing to the people of Ghana and the reassuring words that we have from time to time. But I also like to say to the president that civic education is one of the most critical components in the fight against COVID-19. Knowledge is power. If the people understand what it is that they have that is at stake, I think they would better adhere to the safety protocols and comply with the directives as and when they can. In that regard, I'll ask the president to pay particular attention to retooling the NCCE in order for us to work more effectively. I'll also ask the president to take steps to ensure that our staff as frontline workers also have the PPEs in order to protect themselves as they go out every day to educate the people of Ghana.
Josephine, I thank you very much for your time and stay safe and keep up the good work.
Thank you very much.
That's Josephine Nkrumah. She is the chairperson of the National Commission for Civic Education. So if you were cutting them with a lot of canes, now they're telling you the realities on the ground.